The Credit Show podcast with Harry Jacobs starts now.
The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is really upsetting the bank and credit card companies these days. They're proposing to slash credit card late fees to $8. They're in the high $30 to $41 kind of range. What they're talking about is making the maximum safe harbor $8. Once you go late on your credit card, they can no longer charge you $30 for a first violation and $41 for subsequent violations within the next 6 billing cycles. That's the proposal. That's what they're looking at doing, and the banking industry is just sideways about this. The fees that they make are tremendous. We talked about the NSF fees, $7 billion a year. In terms of what they have charged consumers over the course of any, given year is what it looks like math-wise. The latest data we had. Used to be 12 to 15, but post-pandemic, people got better with it. But here's an area where they make even more money, the credit card companies and the banks. They make $12 billion. So between NSF fees and late fees on credit cards, it's almost $20 billion annually in fees. Can you imagine that? Just fees. The credit card companies are angry that the CFPB doesn't take into account that missing payment or reduction of payment indicates a higher likelihood of default. I read this article where someone from the credit card industry said the potential incentive effects of late fees for consumers who are prone to inattention, mistakes, or behavioral biases, they're not given sufficient consideration as the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau reviews this. And what they're saying is that the CFPB just has no evidence that what, in which way this would affect consumers. If someone says, well, I don't have to pay a $30 fee or a $41 fee, whatever that is, if I'm late, should they consider, why don't they consider? Of course, they don't have data, but what consumers will do. The credit card and banking industry is saying that $8 is just a slap on the wrist and a slap in their face. Obviously, finding a happy medium is going to, be a huge task. Credit card industry made $12 billion off of late fees. Let's face it. The fees have become part of a profit center for the financial services or credit card or banking industry. There is a maximum amount that they can charge. This number was set back in 2010, as part of Dodd-Frank. And by the way, that number, the high number, 18 of the top 20 card issuers are right there or just below that fee. So they'll push the limit anywhere they can. On average, a subprime card is charged $138 a year in fees for people going late. The average subprime cardholder pays about 11% as their minimum payment every month. By the way, if you've got great credit and a great card, you pay under 1%. Late fee volumes fell during COVID, in particular in homes with lower credit scores. As stimulus checks came in, they improved household credit card balances. Another argument that the banking and credit card industry is making is that the deterrence or incentive effect of the late fee, it's not appropriately measured at the time the payment comes due. Lowering the late fee amount may cause more consumers to pay late, right? And there's no evidence there. Listen, it's not going to be easy for the CFPB to figure this out, and they have the power. I'm not sure what the right answer is. And while I'm pro-consumer because obviously I do what I do, but don't overlook for a second what I said at the beginning of this, which is that the industry made $12 billion on fees 2 years ago when the economy was better and people had stimulus money. I'd like to know where we're tracking for 2023 at the midway point. Understand what I'm going to say here. Whether anyone from the banking industry agrees with this or not, late fees are a huge profit center for the banks and all companies that issue cards. There is no hard cost when someone's late. They're assessing what they're allowed to by law. That's straight profit. Is there a carry cost when people are late? Sure there is. But they're banks. They don't have to buy materials or inventory. And let's face it, most people don't even get paper statements. Everyone wants to opt out and do electronic. So there aren't even costs for a couple of sheets of paper. The banking industry has made $12 billion on late fees. And the government's going to cut it, looking to cut it. And that puts them in a panic. It hurts the business model. The banks count on you being late.
You've been listening to the Credit Show podcast with Harry Jacobs. If you need assistance with your credit, text CREDIT to 702-778-2000.